for doing this. I'm super duper excited to see like where it goes, blah blah, stuff like that. All that stuff. But I guess like just like my first question is like, do you just have like a experience with racism that you would like to share first?
Mm. I think for me, it's like not necessarily any particular experience because um, long I grew up I went to private school. I went to Christian school for 11 years, and then I went to a private college prep school for high school. And so they were in my Christian school. I was surrounded by a lot of Black friends, but in my prep school, it wasn't that many of us. So the things that I remember are things that I didn't notice were a problem until I got older. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? So a lot of the things that are relevant, I would say, are more on the microaggressive spectrum,
Mm-hmm.
not as no, I don't think I've ever experienced outright what most people think is racism, right? What most people think is like this action, if I say this to you, or if I don't know, act a certain way, this is racist. I haven't experienced that particular thing, but a lot of the behavior that I've experienced is racist rhetoric, a lot of microaggressive behavior, specifically surrounding who I am, how I talk, how I act, and all of that. If you know where I'm going with that,
Yeah.
mostly I've been to a number of job interviews with and the person will be like, "Wow, you're so articulate," and it's funny because we hear that it's that thing that it's like a lot of people have gone through, and it almost is a cliche at this point, but it happens so really, right? So I would say most of maybe all of my experiences together have gathered like my profile on um, how I've experienced racism from, and most of it is how people talk to me. um, and yeah, just my basic interactions with people. I wouldn't say I've had a, like I said, I wouldn't say I've had a specific outright situation. Um, to go further, I think the most outright stuff I've faced has to do with my relationship. Um, so the whole interracial thing, I think that was the most um, the most outright behavior I've seen, and from multiple parties. So, um, and most of that is some very strong stares and some very strong like it's okay if you do see people always, if me and my fiance are holding hands or something, you'll see the glances, which is fine. I'm like, okay, I get it. Maybe this is, there could be some other reasons that you're looking at us. Maybe you don't like PDA. I don't know. I'll give you some like benefit of the doubt situations. But I remember we sat for an entire evening in this restaurant. We had our date night, and this these older two ladies spent the whole night just staring us down.
We love it.
And I was like, okay, no, no, they couldn't be. No, that's not what's happening here. I'm like, but then you start thinking of what else would they be staring at us for the whole night for?
Yeah.
Like what here, like I don't know what else you would be staring, or what prompts you to stare at someone for that long, because if you I don't know, if I'm going to look at someone, I'm not going to stare at them for like hours. That's just weird. um and so it felt really just uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, are we still, a lot of people are like, we're past all of this, and I'm like, we're not. So I think that's probably the most outright thing I've ever experienced.
Mhm.
Um, but yeah, I could probably talk. Probably I'll have more to say on the other questions that you have.
Yeah, no, like I totally get that. My sister, she her husband is white, and they there was really one time that they were on the metro going home, and there was this person that was like, "This is what I love to see, like two strangers sitting next to each other on the metro," and they were like, "We're married." So like it's that's definitely a thing, and
Yeah,
yeah, it's just
yeah, and it's like there's no problem with it. I mean, there's absolutely no problem with it, but or with I'm specific with people. What I'm saying with it, I'm talking about people being in interracial relationships, not people judging people based off of being interracial relationships. Um, yeah, there's no problem with being in interracial relationship, but people. I even read the other day that you know, I think this was in 2011. There were still um, like 20% of people that or it's a very specific poll, so I'm going to misquote it, rating that at least there was like 20% of the people that they polled were against it, you know, and like against it meaning that it shouldn't be legal,
yeah,
which is crazy. So yeah, crazy, crazy.
correct. um, let's see what else do I have here. You kind of already touched on this like a little bit, talking about just like how you like grew up with the Black community because like I didn't, and so I guess just like in what ways was that helpful for you, if that question makes any sense at all?
No, I get it. I get it. You know, that particular thing can be, depending on who you are, can be really helpful or it can be really isolating.
Mm-hmm.
I'll say that. Um, a lot of friends I have to say I'm really grateful to have them. Um, oh, I think I froze. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, a lot of the Black friends that I have to this day. Oh, good. Okay. We share really similar experiences, but like I said, I continue to the private school route, right? Um, and so a lot of our experiences differ, right, about the time we stopped going to the same school. But those friends, it's a support system. It's really nice to be connected to the people who are actually my friends,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, it can be really hard though for people who try to exclude you from the community based on what you have or have not experienced. And um, what I really am referring to are the kind of harmful stereotypes that go along with what is being Black, you know, from what music you listen to, from how you talk, like I already said before, and how we go into job interviews, right? From how you dress, from how you wear your hair. You know, there's so many ways that people can take your quote unquote Black card. And I think it was really the point that I was really just frustrated with the whole concept of a Black card was when white people started feeling empowered enough to say that they were Blacker than I was.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, that's just, it's the weirdest, like, I don't know. And you obviously know what I'm talking about. So I don't even know how to explain what that feels like. Because it's very obvious that a white person will not know what it's like to be Black. And so they're thinking of these superficial things that are, you know, they listen to more rap music than you. It suddenly makes them more Black than you, which doesn't make any sense. You know, it's like, hello, this is the skin color that I have. that affects my experiences. I don't see it on you. I don't see the pigment. I don't see the melanin on you. um, so it's really frustrating. But I think all of the Black friends that I've had that are super supportive and accepting of who I am and don't really try to fall into the stereotypes that, the stereotypes are not the, the sole fault of any particular group. I think we all perpetuate them. I just think we need to be careful because it's like, yes, we are Black and we share similar experiences, but just because you didn't go through a specific thing doesn't make you any less Black. And that's the important part. So it's a double-edged sword. It depends on who you're around and how much they fall into the stereotypes, that if they will or will not be helpful to you. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Thank you. It's like Winchester. I tell people this all the time. There's like 5 Black people in Winchester, and it's my family. That's an exaggeration, of course, but like that's what it feels like typically. And so like I always wanted to know like what it felt like to grow up with like other people of color around you because I didn't really get to have that experience. So
Mm-hmm.
thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, you pretty much answered my last question. So I guess for if there's anything else like you just want to throw out there, then go ahead.
Mm. You know what I will say? I'll say one more thing about the last question that you said.
Okay.
I think the one other thing that I didn't talk about is just code switching in general.
Ooh. Ooh. Yeah.
Yeah. The comfort of, it's funny because my fiance I don't think he ever heard me, I guess I'll say, what is it? My Ebonics. I'll say he has never heard my Ebonics, or he has now, but he never heard them until he heard me after I went to work with Black people. um, and because especially with him, it's a matter of whatever I came from. I don't have to code switch with him. I'm very comfortable being whatever I am at that moment, right? But I think it's funny, especially as I've worked many jobs, being in different places of who I'm with, the people I'm with, experiencing that. Even now, I've worked at 2 different Whole Foods locations, right? And in those 2 different locations, there have been 2 completely separate demographics. So the one up in Boston, which is actually majority Hispanic, majority Latinx, and the one down here, which is, I say 757 Hampton Roads area, is mostly Black and white with some other things sprinkled in, but I would say like pretty hard down the line Black and white. So just very completely different experiences. And sometimes that code switching is the most like the best feeling of like a burden being lifted off of your chest, to just, it's not that I'm pretending when I'm talking not in Ebonics, but just being in that other scenario, it's a matter of being more comfortable, and being more comfortable with the people I'm there. It's that shared like it's that shared feeling of these are the things I can talk about here.
Yeah.
That in other circles you can't say. you know? And so I think that's something that when you are around other Black people, that is a plus. It's just being able to be more yourself than if you weren't around Black people or being in a mix. But I'm sure you've experienced like me. I mean, we have different settings where we are the completely only one, and then we have settings that we are one of many, right? And in music especially, that's,
Yeah.
you know which one it is. So
Yeah.
it's a day-to-day thing. It's just a day at a time of which one it's going to be, and you got to be prepared for it to be either way. You don't know what you're walking into, or maybe you do. Just get ready to just turn one side of you on, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'll say about that. That's the last thing I'll say.
All right. Well, thank you. I really appreciate you talking to me, answering all my questions. And I just really hope that we can get this to people so they can just listen to our stories because it's important. At least I think it's really important for us to be sharing these. So thank
No,
you.
yeah, absolutely. It's cool to be doing this. So yeah.
Yeah. Thank
I
you.
hope you heard all of that. I just saw that I froze.
I mean, eh.
Okay. Basically, not basically, yeah. I was just saying it's really cool for you to do this. I think I don't know who all you're planning to share with, but a lot of people need to hear this. So it'll be really cool. I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Yeah. So thank you again. I'll let go on with your Sunday. But yeah, it was really nice catching up, and thank you for doing this.
You too. I'll talk to you later.